Hi, and welcome to this B1 Usability Package session on what's new in version 2017.02. 17.02 release have one major new feature, and then a few minor enhancement to the existing modules. But the main feature of this release is a new system for translations. So if you do a lot of things with having multiple users in multiple countries and multiple languages, this is the release you have all been waiting for. So let's go into it. So what we have done is we have made the B1 translation system. Before some of you might think, well, SAP already have a translation system. Yes, we know about this, and the extent and the scope we wanted to use this couldn't be done with normal translation system from SAP because they could only work on SAP forms. So that's the reason. It's not because we don't know about that system existing, but we have made this much more advanced, as you will see in the following slides. So the new thing is that you can make translation keywords. And you do that from within the module configuration as always under B1 translations. And here you make keywords, like for example I have here as an example where I do a create invoice. My default language in this database is English, so I say default translation being create invoice. And then I've written it in German and Spanish. Sorry for the German and Spanish speaking people if it's not correct. It must admit it's taken from Google Translate right now. But you get the point that you are in the power of being able to write anything you want. Doing so, you can go in on almost anything in Usability Package now. For example, function buttons. And instead of just keying in the caption in a fixed language like English, you can right click and go in and say choose translations. And there you can go in and say, for example, keyword create invoice, and you put that in. So instead of writing create invoice as you would in the past, you write it like this with the specific keyword syntax we have here. This will result in that if you're running English of your Business One, it will actually say create invoice. If you're running Spanish, it will say create invoice in Spanish instead. Or if you're running German, it will actually say it in German instead. So far, we could have been able to use the existing SAP system, but we wanted to go beyond this. Because B1 dashboards can also do these translations. Here I have a sales numbers and I have again translated into German and Spanish. And in the dashboard editor, you can then go in and highlight your static text with keywords instead. And in this case, for example, running German, it actually translates into that word instead. I've not translated everything here, but you can translate more or less anything. If you find something that cannot be translated, tell us about it and we will add it to the system. So dashboard is the other place that you can actually do it. The third place you can do it is inside Crystal Reports as well. So if you run a Crystal Report with our system, print and delivery or universal function Crystal Report, you can now go in and take all your titles that you write in or inside formulas. You can go in and write the same syntax and it will again translate, in this case again to German, but whatever language you want. The only thing you need to do is you need to turn on multiple languages inside SAP, else we don't show this system, because if you don't use multiple translations anyway from rest of SAP, why should you use it in B1UP as well? Then you're up and running, being able to translate more or less anything inside B1UP. So again, this is a major new enhancement, and that's the reason why we don't have that much else. But we have a few nice minor enhancements. For example, that the license administration screen can now be controlled by the SAP authorization system. In the past, it was done by super users, but given the fact that you don't really have super users in a cloud control center environment, so the cloud or on-premise, you could do it, but you couldn't really do it on the cloud. So we now switched away from the super user system, and you can now do it from SAP authorizations instead if you have access to that screen. Also for CCC environments, you can now log in with the special users underscore PSU1 and PSU2 without having a specific license assigned to these users. You still need the usability package license, but you don't need to assign the license to those because they are the support users instead of needing extra license in that way. Dashboards have also gotten a few new permissions in order to. Some people found it a bit annoying that you had the preview and export options directly on the dashboards. They just wanted to see them, and in some cases they actually wanted to block that their users could use them. So now there is a permission in the authorization tree if you're allowed to see these or not. They are on by default, but you can turn them off. And finally, our quest for giving you better editors inside SQL, inside macro, have now come to print delivery, where we now also use the SQL editors instead of the old simple fields in mass delivery and in the report action form. So with that, this is the new release. Again, major new thing with B1 translations for those who need such translations. And that's the major focus of this time. The release is already out as of this recording, 8th of March, in the normal download page, boyum-it.com/spo. So for now, thank you for watching, and I hope it was beneficial.